Going to be worthy of a TED Talk, although it looks like I'm going to be recorded anyway.
For those who can't be here, that's all.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. And, you know, I thought that actually now really is a great time, because when I sat with everyone in the lobby when we first bought the building in March, we outlined a bunch of things that we had planned. And what I want to do is just take a few minutes to give an overview as to what we've done. And then we'll just open it up, because I want to maximize the time, you know, that I can sit here and I can listen, because I think that listening is important as speaking. So Stu originally suggested a format where I sat in a chair suspended above the pool and I get dunked with any really bad answers. So I'm happy that I get to sit on the stable bench. By the way, I'm not here because I need to be here. I didn't reach out to Stu because I needed to reach out to Stu. Actually, I kind of like him. I knocked on his door. We sat, we talked for a little bit, and then I figured let's have a meeting. So, first thing I want to do is, I don't even need a paper. Ultimately, I think the improvements we've made are pretty obvious. We've redone the lobby. I didn't have a designer. When I buy a building, I take pride of ownership. And when I buy a building, my hope is never to sell it. The next town hall meeting might be either my wife announcing that she's taking over because of my demise, or that I've given it to the child that I love the least. Kidding. But in other words, I thought, again, this kind of open forum is good. But we spent money on the lobby. We put in a new camera system. We put lighting on every floor. We spent about, we spent $50,000 putting in a new laundry room. You might have noticed there's a little ATM that showed up. We hope once we figure out how to get cash in the drawer, we're going to open that up as well. You know, it might be helpful for laundry. It might be helpful if people have deliveries coming. It might be helpful to me if I need money and I'm walking through the lobby. We've done a ton of brick pointing throughout the entire property, mostly on the front. There were, I want to say, 3 or 4 trees that the city had flagged needed to be taken down. And then when I had my guy here, we decided to just look at the whole property, and we took down about 12 different trees. We ground the stumps. We made sure that in the front, that big tree to the right was taken down so that people can actually have a view. There were some tenants that had complained of allergies, branches too close to their windows. We cut a lot of branches. We did a ton of work in the whole perimeter of the parking lot. We took down a lot of the branches. One thing that I had thought about, I actually feel better standing. One thing I thought about was what to do with Annie's garden. Where's Annie?
Right here.
Oh, over there. Okay, hello. And while I could have taken it down, why? Actually, I think it's quite beautiful, and what we've done instead is we cleared it up. I met with Annie this morning with the landscaper. We want to keep the elements of community here that are distinctly Hawthorne, and Stu had suggested a few things that we could do as well. For example, a summer barbecue. I like barbecues. One reason why we're having today's meeting is if we had the barbecue, everyone would be coming up to me asking questions, so I want to get the questions out of the way so I can enjoy my barbecue. But Stu is going to take charge of that and come up with a group of tenants who can help organize it.
We have volunteers already.
Good. And, you know, when we got rid of, look, I understand that community grilling is important, is fun. So, but there were many grills that were there that were abandoned, had been there for years. Definitely presents a fire hazard underneath the trees. You know, we've got the 4 stationary grills, but I find them pretty uninspiring. So what I've also told Stu is that if we can come up with a budget, $4,000 or so, I'm happy to buy an industrial strength, awesome grill that everyone can use free of charge. There would be a security deposit you would put down just to make sure that it would be cleaned at the end. And we've got to figure out where to put it, It's got to be on a hardscape ground,
Cement, like this.
cement ground, and then it's got to have some way to protect it, because if there's like a flash storm or a flood or something, you know, it's an expensive piece of machinery. So I am listening, but I have to tell you, I've had far more compliments from tenants than I've had complaints. I've had probably 90% of the people who come up to me thank me for what we're doing and thank us for making the building better. And we really do look for ways to continually improve the property. And as I said a few months ago, you know, a third of the things that we do, you'll be ecstatic about. And I think those changes are pretty obvious. A third of the things that we do, you may not be terribly inspired, you might be ambivalent. And a third you might not be very happy with. But I can promise you that when you look at the whole picture of what we're doing and you look at what the building is and what it's become, then that it'll be very clear that you'll be happy. So with that, I figured I would open the floor for questions, and that might start with Stu.
Correct.
Okay.
So, to the point, first of all, I think on behalf of the tenants, you've made the building look 100% better than it has. Tenants live here.
Hear the bar, you're hearing
You have to speak louder.
I want to thank
You're not talking to each other.
Okay.
Speak up.
Yes, sir.
All of you.
Yes,
Speak
sir.
up.
Okay. I just want to say I believe I'm speaking on behalf of the tenants and thanking you for the cosmetic changes and improvements you've made to the building. Without a doubt, the place looks a lot better. And that's to your credit and the amount of energy and funding that you've put against that. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And whether you've been applauded or whatever, it really does look 100% better. That said, there are a number of issues that the tenants really wanted to voice, but they didn't feel comfortable, so that's why they're asking me to do it. And let's start. I tried to reduce it all to a limited number of questions, and I'm sure people will chime in with your responses. The first one is.
Can everybody hear?
Okay.
No.
The first question. Then why don't you
No,
sit
it
here?
doesn't matter. There will still be people back here.
Come sit here.
When people speak in
We don't
front
have
of
any
the
microphones.
group, they speak loud
Come
so
sit
the
here.
group can hear them.
Come sit here.
It doesn't matter. There'll still be people back here who can't hear
Can't
them.
please everybody.
Just
no matter
speak
what.
louder.
Still,
It's simple.
I got an idea.
What?
Why don't we have him say?
It's simple.
Okay, look, look.
Okay.
I
All right,
I
let's
took
not
time.
waste
I want
time
to be
on
here
this.
for a full hour.
Let's not waste time in this.
So,
Sit
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And
Anyone
you
who
can
can't
only
hear, I would
speak
come up.
as loud as you can.
I don't
If you
want
can't
to
hear it,
hold it
go
from
home. Watch the tape. If you're shooting it on video, you can watch it later and hear it. But we cannot only compete with the airplanes, and we don't have a microphone. So that's it. I can only speak as loud as I can, and so can Mark. So be a little understanding, or sit here. That's it. Okay. So first question: status of the air conditioning. Repairs in apartments needing them. There's no heat relief, and now, we have heard a rumor that window units or portable units are not going to be allowed. Now, I understand the lease speculates that, but you also have to understand the previous owner, understanding that the cooling system did not effectively work, not only encouraged, they subsidized people buying these units because the units are insufficient to cool the building. Hold on.
You want to give me the first part, and then I'll answer it in the second part.
Well, are you going to, here's the question. If the AC was true AC and operated at temperatures that actually cool the apartments, there wouldn't be a need for these supplemental units. Are you going to replace all the existing units with systems capable of today's climate issues as opposed to the 60-year-old system?
So the system is actually 60.
Speak to them, please.
The air conditioning system is what Stu is asking about. So when we came into the property 5 short months ago, although it feels a little bit longer, we sent in, we actually sent a memo around within, I want to say, 30 or 60 days, indicating that we have a company that was going to be servicing all of the air conditioning units in every room, in every apartment. My understanding was that the previous owner had been at least maintaining them pretty well, and we quickly realized that was not the case. The units themselves are 62 years old and needed a lot more work than we thought. In some cases, in actually many cases, the furniture, most notably in people's bedrooms, is right up against the HVAC unit, the carrier unit. And the way that the units work is that they take air from the bottom and then circulate that air. And if you have furniture all the way up against the HVAC unit, it's not going to work properly. Furthermore, there were a couple of cases where a tenant, I think it had a cat, and there was this much fur inside the system against the fan and the filter, and if that happens, they're not going to work properly. So when we first sent our team, actually I outsourced it to Jebs. When Jebs came in, they were servicing these units. At first, tenants, and this is one reason why I'm having this meeting, at first tenants thought that this was some secret plan for us to bifurcate the electric or sub-meter it and start billing back electric. That's not what we're doing. We just needed access in order to go in, clean units, and some of the units have either motors that were burned or other switches that weren't working properly. On some of them, you turn it from sort of cold to more cold. It was basically just on or off. So what we had to do is backfill effectively, I don't know how many years, but many years of maintenance. But we've now addressed, I think from last count, 210 of the units in the entire building. And there are 531 units in the entire building. So that means that some people either aren't complaining or think their units don't need to be cleaned, or now finally will give us access, but now I have to compete for Jeb's time because it's their peak season. So they're installing, I'm competing with like Whole Foods, with Kmart, with Target during a very, very hot summer. So as a result, what I would say is please give us access, keep furniture away from the units. And what we're doing is we're going in, we're giving them a good industrial clean, we're making sure all the components are working, we're replacing all of the filters, we're making sure, in many cases, the drip pans haven't had those little gel tabs in a long time. The gel tabs will help evaporate the water so that it doesn't drip and overflow into a unit below. So in some cases we're having issues, which again, you guys know, for anyone who's been living here for a period of time, these things have been leaking for years and years and years. We're committed to getting them fixed, and if there are any units that aren't fixed, let us know. But we've worked through on our list about 85% of all of the complaints, so let's continue to work towards a better outcome. Now, on the portable units, in your lease it does say, under the no alterations paragraph, that you're not allowed to have portable units, you're not allowed to have space heaters. Part of it is safety, part of it is pure economics, which is I'm paying for a boiler, I'm paying for a chiller, a cooling tower, and chilling units, and I'm paying for your electric. And with rent control, which is great, protects all of you, I can assure you that my operating costs are a lot higher than what you think I'm getting in rent. And furthermore, the expense, whether it's taxes or water or sewer or all of my human resources, are more than a 4% increase versus a 2.5% increase. I don't think I need a mic, bud. So what I would say in the air conditioning units is we're not going to do anything right now, but we do have a way of measuring what the usage is for every apartment. I don't need to look up. Okay. Can everyone hear me? Is this a little better?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Excellent. So what I would say, am I shouting? Can you guys hear me all right? Okay. So what I would say is if you've got an issue with the air conditioning, let us know. Now, because I'm competing for Jeb's time, we may only have a couple days a week. and in some of these units are in tough shape, we may only get to 3, 4 apartments per day. So be patient with us, but there will come a point where we have to remove the air conditioning units, and so it's incumbent upon you to let us know if your unit is not working properly. The only other thing I would say is I'm sure there will be individual questions and issues of units or leaking or whatever. I think given today's forum, if you could keep those offline, so we'll keep this meeting general so I can try to work through Stu's list. If there's specific issues you're having, your unit's not working, your access panel is leaking, your whatever, just come, work through the general Rockledge, channels, and we are going to get to it.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
Treasurer said that she found out that.
Hold on.
that
Mark, use this so everyone can hear it.
Mark, use it.
Gotta use
Not
it,
Lady
everyone
Gaga,
can hear you.
but whatever. So she said that above 85 to 90 degrees, the chillers they're not designed for that. So what happens when the weather goes?
No,
Like we had a heat wave.
It doesn't sound like something Treasurer would say, and that isn't how it
No,
works.
that's what she said. That's what she told me.
I can't speak to what she said, but that's not how it works. First of all, just to acknowledge, when we bought the building, in fact, there was an issue on the roof that we're still working through related to a variable frequency drive that was tripping and would turn off the cooling tower fan on the roof. And the way cooling towers work is whether it's 100 degrees or 85 degrees, they spin, they take the water, and then the chilling units in the basement effectively condense that and make sure that you've got air conditioning in each of your units. The air conditioning was working sporadically for, I think it was about a week, it might have been a week and a half, and poor Paul, at every 3 hours, had to keep going to the roof and resetting it. We've now fixed that issue, and we've got a great company that's now servicing it, but we do need to still replace the VFD, and it should be happening on Wednesday of this week.
But the air that comes, the literal air that comes out is not cold. It's just like a fan air. Like, is there any way to make it cold?
Okay, so the second odd, I've heard a lot of interesting rumors over the years, but this one actually took the cake, or was at least one of my top 10, which was that the sensors that we were trying to put in, I think, 20 apartments were somehow recording devices so that Rockledge could spy on you. I can assure you that's not at all what, but hear me out.
The answer is it can be cold.
But sorry, Mark, I'll explain how it works. We can do a temperature reading for every single apartment, not for every apartment, an average for the building based on the 20 sensors that we have in the property for the heating and for the cooling. So we see what the average, gnats are getting me. So we see what the average temperature is, and the average temperature is not 85 degrees. So if there's a particular unit that's having an issue, we can move a sensor to your unit.
Right.
But ultimately, no system is perfect, but it's certainly going to be less than 85 degrees. In fact, when the system's working properly, even on a hot day, not maybe 100 degree weather, but normal weather, you should have a nice 70 plus degrees, no problem.
But do you agree that if you were here with your wife and your children, and you had a unit, and it was 90 degrees outside, that would be comfortable for your family to sleep in?
I think there was a question there, but I don't know what it was. Would it be comfortable for me and my family to sleep in 90 degree weather? No, but your unit isn't 90 degrees when everything's working properly.
No, I just
Let's
said
keep
if
it
it was
to the
70
broader
degrees,
issues,
would
Mark,
that be
not
comfortable
just
for
on
you?
yours, okay?
So
Or 75, whatever it blows out?
first, I would be perfectly happy moving into this building. Second, to accentuate that, I will tell you that my mom lives in this building, as you know.
Right.
And so at any given point, if the system isn't working properly, I have one critic who I know I will hear from first. She will be the loudest, and she's sitting in the back of the of this meeting. So if there's an issue, I hear about it quick. Go ahead.
13 years ago, when I moved
Sorry, you better.
Wait for the microphone. No one's gonna hear it.
13 years ago, can you hear me?
Yes.
When I moved into this building, and I said that the air conditioner wasn't working, somebody came and spent a big maybe 8 minutes there and said, it's broken, it needs to be replaced. And I assumed he was an expert, and I went away quietly, and luckily, the weather in the last 13 years has not been so that you faint. It hasn't been that hot. But when I saw things being worked on here, I mentioned this again, and a person came in, and he looked at it and said, this barely needs anything done to it. And in 10 minutes, he fixed it so it works perfectly.
Cool.
So it really, if you have an expert
Good. I
helper,
appreciate I appreciate that. Not every case. I appreciate that. Not every case is that easy.
no, I understand.
But the ones that are easy, we're happy with. And it may have worked quicker because you hadn't used it in 13 years.
All right, let me go on. Can we move on to the next question?
Okay.
Let's move on to the next question because we have a lot to accomplish and we have 45 minutes.
I can stay a little longer. I don't have anywhere to go. I have 4 kids at home, so this is like a break for me.
Okay. The next question that comes up is about the exterminator schedule. At least 4 apartments have reported bed bugs and had to wait weeks for it to be handled while living with the bugs. The current contractor often cancels appointments and then says they can't come into the building unless a building manager is present. And that is often the case, that the building manager isn't present when they show up because they come in late in the afternoon sometimes. And then the larger question is, what about the rats?
Okay. Not sure which one I want to take least, the rats or the bed bugs. But I'll start in the sequence you presented it. First, on bed bugs. Bed bugs don't just show up. Bed bugs in units have been there for months, maybe years. And there's a process that requires the tenant to work with the technician. It's not just someone shows up with the spray or zaps them all. There's a whole sequence of things, and there's, I think, 3 different visits. They come, the tenant has to wrap the furniture, they have to clean everything out, they have to vacuum the carpets if there isn't any, and effectively we need that cooperation in order for them to do their job. Of the units that, I don't recall that there were 4, I know that there's at least 2, and of the ones that I know Treasure had been handling with Ehrlich, which is, by the way, national company, they're very good, they're not cheap, but my view is, why would I be so stupid to leave a unit with bed bugs knowing that now if they spread, that's going to cost me 10 times more by not addressing the problem. I can assure you, as soon as I hear that, I'm all over it because 1, it's disgusting, and 2, it's, and I'm not blaming any particular tenant, by the way. Sometimes you can have them and not know that you have them, right? So effectively, this is something that we want to get all over. There was at least 1 unit I know about that has had all 3 remediations, that still believes that there is a persistent problem, that the company, and I'm not qualified to opine about whether bed bugs are still around, have said that they're dead, but this person might sort of feel like, you start to feel itchy when when you've had this for a while. So what I would say is that we move very quickly with the bed bug stuff. If you believe you have an issue, please let us know immediately. That's something I want to take care of very, very quickly.
Can your exterminators come more than once a month is the issue?
So the exterminators will come more than once a month if there's a particular issue. Like, for example, when people were complaining about rats, we came back, or we had them come in a special off-cycle meeting. They put more traps. They made sure that there was poison in the traps that were there. And so, yes, if there are particular units or particular issues we need to deal with, we're happy to have them come back. However, even with a monthly pest control date, there are still access issues. So, try to help us maximize the time that we have when our professionals are there, and we'll definitely work with you to make sure that whatever issue you have is going to be addressed. Now, on the rats, I used to work in the Bronx for I won't mention the company, but about 15, 18 years ago. Those buildings had rat problems. I mean, I would be in the office and I didn't own them, but you would hear them rolling around the ceiling. These things were like small dogs. They were disgusting. When we sent in our exterminators, they would die in the walls. Now I would have to smell them in the office for the next 3 weeks. That was a rat problem. That was like a 10 out of 10 as far as I'm concerned. On Hawthorne's worst day, this is a 1 out of 10. That's not to diminish the issue, it's just to put it into perspective. Personally, I've never seen one. However, I believe you when you say that you have. So what we've done is we had the health department come here. The health department made us take a bird feeder off the tree because birds are notoriously messy eaters and have terrible manners, and we're dropping a lot of the bird seed on the ground. We put more of the traps on the outside of the building. One of the tenants, I don't remember which one, had said, "It's okay. Is it okay if she rips out the underbrush over outside of her window?" I had no problem with that at all. You want to do that? You can do that. We then looked at the likely culprits. Honestly, in my view, there is one likely culprit, and my friend Miss Annie, my friend Annie actually pointed it out. The rabbi's facility has an open dumpster right over there where they dump garbage, and if you're wondering where rats are coming from, I have got to believe that that is at least a pretty major contributing factor. And I'm reaching out to the rabbi to see if we can get a lid or something on that, or if we can move the dumpster entirely. We've taken out all of the underbrush, so it's harder for them to hide. When I met with Annie and my contractor today, we went back to what I'll call the Hawthorne secret garden back there, and there's a huge pile of just like dead vegetation. There was also a lot of dead vegetation in Annie Garden 1, so maybe we'll call it Annie Garden 1, Annie Garden 2. And so we've now removed all of that stuff. So now, and we've got lights out, so it may be late at night, like if rats don't want to be seen, they'll spend their time over there. So the reality is this: we're working towards a solution that will hopefully be not no rats, but hopefully less rats. And I will tell you that this is a Montclair-wide issue. If you call the city, they will tell you that for whatever reason, rats are just enjoying themselves this summer. So I don't think it's particular to Hawthorne, but I will tell you that we are committed to making sure that a rat issue is also eradicated.
My sister is on a hillside. They've been having, in their whole neighborhood, they've been having a problem with it.
Yeah, it's all
They're
over
everywhere.
town.
In New York.
Right.
No, it's all over
Still,
town, but we
still no
also live
excuse,
here,
but
so.
you know, and so I am going to talk to him about the dumpster.
That's great.
Any rats inside the building?
No, outside.
Never
Yeah, I
had
haven't seen any
Even
inside the
here.
building.
nobody.
If you look right here, there's a hole that they come out of right here under this chair. So,
Well, that particular hole, I think, was for the bench.
but you
there
can you
were-
walk
but-
along the sidewalk
But
here,
there
you
were
see the
two holes over there that I had my guys cover.
Yeah. Okay. This is a shorter question, but a lot of people have mentioned that since they use the rent box in the basement to pay their rent every month, there's two things. One is some checks get lost and they get charged with a late fee even though they put their rent in on time, and then overall the checks are being deposited late, which is screwing up people's cash flow situations. We pay on October or whatever the first of the month, but the checks are not deposited until 2-3 weeks later.
Okay. So, on the ways to pay rent, we have an online portal. You can use a credit card, you can use a debit card, you can use a bank card, or a routing number attached to your bank account. We don't make money on a dollar of the rent that is collected online. Online through our company, or the company we use, Buildium, they work with a third-party provider that charges those fees. So they charge me the fees and we bill them back. That's how it works online. If you're just doing a check the old-fashioned way, as Stu mentioned, you can continue, I think the treasurer said,
Right.
you can continue to put them in that box. I have no interest in trying to make money tricking people with late fees. It's not my business model. It's not why I left corporate America. It's not why I bought Hawthorne or the other 10 buildings we own. So if someone believes that they gave a check that wasn't received by us, we're more than happy to look into it. And if it was sent earlier, then we're happy to refund the late fee. To your point about when we deposit the checks, it's not when you give us the check. It's when the late fee is incurred 10 days after the first of the month. Really it's 5 days, but we give a little bit of room for flexibility. But when we get it, we stamp when it was received, And then because Karen is only one person and we've got many different banks that we work with, she may not end up getting to the bank till a week or two later. So don't worry about when the check is deposited. It's only the late fee will only track whether you paid on time. And we're very careful about that. And if you believe that that's been done wrong, let me know.
That's great. Thank you, Mark, for that answer. A bigger issue, I think, that all the tenants share is the repair work order flow and how it does, in this case, doesn't work, as opposed to the system that we were used to of putting things in the little tick box by the mailroom. The people would come and fix your issues and boom. So there's enormous, I think, shared upsetness, if that's the right word, about how long it takes to get something done in the building.
Got it. Okay. So first, blanket statement. I share your feeling that it may sometimes take too long for things to get done. So I agree with you. And our goal is to narrow that time frame. We've got a lot of people, but we're trying to do a lot of stuff. And for every elevator that needed new wiring or new rope cables or a phone or a camera, there were lights in the parking garage, and I'm working with a lighting company to get the lights upgraded. For every lighting issue, there was another issue that we had to deal with. So what I would tell you is that I'm very hands-on, and that I do care. And I'm not just saying that. I didn't have to be here tonight, but I'm here because I care, and I like to be proud of the buildings that we own. It's why I left working for people who I didn't respect. It's why I left my job in New York City. It's why I started from scratch. Daddy didn't give me any money to go buy a building. I've been doing this for 15 years, and the only way that I make money is by actually, at the end of the day, creating better buildings. So what I would say is, yes, there have been some examples where it took way too long for us to deal with issues, and I'm not happy with that. And I have chided our team for that. And what I realized is that part of it was that they were looking to me for the leadership of, here, not just the renovated units that you need to focus on, but we need to prioritize resources to really knock out all of the issues with existing apartments and existing work orders. And for every 5 work orders we did, more came out of the woodwork. And let's be honest, while I know that we can get better, and while I didn't live here when Jack Packenham owned the building, I don't believe that they were very responsive. If they were responsive, there wouldn't be leaks in the HVAC units. There wouldn't be all these issues that we've discovered. I mean, our pool didn't even work when I first bought the building. The filter system was down. Nick's pool company fired me. Didn't even want to deal with us because they knew the pool. We needed a new vac system, not HVAC, but a vacuum pump system that it took us 2 weeks to get. And so I think what ends up happening is, and this is kind of an odd reward, and that is that when you show up to a building and a new owner is all over the place, and you can see that they have money, and you can see that they have resources, all of a sudden, all of those issues that you had over a period of time start to become unbearable, because you're like, well, wait a minute, like, these guys are all here, like, they can fix my problem now. So all I would say is that our interests are aligned in that your goal is a better building, and my goal is a better building. So we may not always approach it from the same way, and we may not even always think of the same solution, and some things I may do may piss you off, and hopefully most of what we do will make you happy. But ultimately, I think that when you look at where we move and how our system works, you'll be happy. The reason we don't do the little papers in some suggestion box is because the way that it should work is tenants, and by the way, we own 10 other buildings. So we get to the management at Rockledge email address, right? An address, East Orange, or address Orange, or address Montclair. And then Treasure brings to me a list of all of the issues. Here are issues that related to water. Here are issues that related to, HVAC units. Here's issues that related to painting. Here's issues that relate to whatever. And then I can help her prioritize. So that's why we do the email. We want to have a record of that. And by the way, you want us to have a record of that. But there are some cases where it's taken us too long to deal with stuff. Or worse, my team tells me that an issue's been fixed and we did a really good job getting to the 80% mark, but we didn't get to 100%, and that's not okay. So let me work through those issues, but when I hear about those cases, I'm not happy about it. So.
Okay,
Could
there
I-
are two people have questions.
Yeah.
Right here,
I
and
just-
then Shannon.
Okay. This is more of a
Mark, let us-
clarification. When Mr. Packenham owned the building, I think everyone would agree he neglected it. And there were a lot of things, the roof and the cooling system and everything, that were neglected for years. But at the same time, the little day-to-day things in all of our apartments, the leaking faucet, the, whatever, those things were attended to right away, same day. I mean, there's a complete disconnect between Mr. Packenham and the actual building staff. The building staff was very attentive and very responsive. I just wanted to make that clear, and that's why we're so unhappy with the system of reporting problems, because it worked great before. That's all.
Thank you.
Got it.
Shannon, you wanna-
Sorry, if I could respond to that. I hear you. That's my response. I hear what you're saying, and are in any. How do I explain this honestly? When you buy a building, for me, when you're turning around a building, when I first came in here, I was pretty uninspired. I mean, I just looked around and was like, wow, really? And it felt tired, it felt old, it felt like no one cared, it felt like no one was spending money, it felt like the hallways were dingy, it felt just what I didn't want. But I could see the vision to that, right? So, I'm not sitting on $100 million. I've put a lot of my money, millions of dollars of my money, into the building, doing things. Of the $500,000 that I've spent in the last, I'm not just talking to you, just everyone, in the last 5 months, what the building department or code enforcement or Peter Iacobellis, by the way, who I think is a great guy, if he ever runs for mayor, I suggest you guys vote for him. I know I will. He's excellent. When these people didn't say, well, spend this, spend this, spend this. And there are a lot of owners out there who will come into a new building and they'll make things worse, and they won't spend any money on it. They'll put all of their money into the apartments because that's where they're making their money. I don't make a return on my cameras. I don't make a return on the $10,000 I spent on removing trees. But I want the property to look a certain way. What that means is that effectively, we don't make money on this building for probably the first 2 years, if I'm lucky. We're just pumping it full of cash right now. And there is an equilibrium point where we're putting money into apartments, and we haven't rented one renovated apartment, by the way, not one. We're getting there, we're close. Everyone's going to be vacancy decontrolled, and we're happy to take applications for any existing Hawthorne tenant that would, for whatever reason, some people are like, no, I'm not going to spend that kind of money, but some people think I have the money, I love the building, and I am willing to spend that kind of money. When you see our finishes, I think you guys will be very impressed, and we'll create a financial incentive to incentivize you guys to rent the renovated units. But the point of my story is this: we're spending $500,000, call it, on capital improvements for the whole building. We're spending $700,000 on the below, the parking garage. I'm pumping. I have a huge payroll every single week, and so what ends up happening with the buildings that I own, and I've never sold a building before. When I own buildings, I own them for hopefully decades. There comes a point where once we invest, eventually we make money. I rent an apartment, I take that cash, now I have more money to reinvest in the property. So right now what I'm saying is we're juggling between work orders and existing apartments. And if I all of a sudden take all my resources and I just focus on all of the tenant issues that have been ongoing in some cases for years, 13 years for an HVAC unit, I will go bankrupt. You don't want me to go bankrupt. I go bankrupt, another owner steps up, and at that point, that person doesn't care about the building and doesn't have the kind of money that I had to invest in it. So it's a process. And keep in mind, as my grandmother, my mother's mother, used to say, Rome wasn't built in a day. And so we're only at the 5-month mark. We are getting to a point where the building is really starting to feel good for me. It has a good feel for me. And give us some time on issues that need to be addressed. I can assure you we're going to dedicate the resources. Okay?
Follow.
Sorry, Shannon.
Okay, because everyone can hear me, yeah? Kate, first of all, I just want to follow up, and add to what you were saying. And Mark, as well to you. I think you're overcomplicating some things, right? You seem to have this grand vision, which I personally want you to succeed in. I want this building to succeed. I want you to accomplish all the things that you're pumping so much money into. But we had a simple solution for fixing a light bulb. We shouldn't have to email Rockledge headquarters, and then it gets sorted into a bin, and then it gets prioritized. This is not how it should work, right? So I think that the frustration is the disconnect between this, marble coffee table, and when you first bought the place, the first thing that you managed to do was install security cameras, and I still have never met the super. That's not how it should go.
That was in my list.
You know what I'm saying? Like, has anyone met him? I don't know what he looks like.
That was in my
He could be a rumor for all I know. Okay, but can you see how that could be frustrating for us? No. Hold on. This is. I hear a lot of pride in your work. I know that you have a lot of vision. You want to get this place looking really good, but do you think that really someone's going to come in from the city and spend, I don't know, $4,000 on a place where they can't get their light bulb fixed if it goes down? What's the process? Do I talk to Treasurer? Do I talk to Karen? Do I talk to you? I don't know. I don't know who Paul is. This is a problem, right? I mean, come on.
Well, the super is another issue that's on here, but let's answer his question first.
Okay, so you may not like all of my answers tonight, but they will all be truthful and honest. Sorry, can you hear me? Okay.
Barely.
So you may not like all my answers tonight, but I'm going to be truthful about it.
Into the mic.
Hold it up.
I have owned buildings and I've worked for companies that own buildings for
Speak
decades.
up, Mark. Even
For-
though there's a mic, speak up.
You're more
Okay.
annoying
Can-
than
Talking
not
to a
being
crowd.
able to hear.
No, all right.
Can everyone hear me?
Keep talking into the mic.
So, first, as it relates to the system before, when I first came into this property, there was a curious way of doing things, and every owner does things differently. And what I would say is that first there is a super. He's excellent. His name's Paul. He lives in apartment LLV in the basement. If there is a true emergency, you can knock on his door. A true emergency. There's a leak or there's some imminent issue. The reason why we don't want him to be pulled by the tenants and just told what to do is because at our other buildings over a decade and a half, we discovered that tenants were developing a relationship with the super, and these people were pulling him. He doesn't work, he works for me. And so the reason why we have the system where all the issues are sent to Treasurer is so that she's triage. So she looks at all the issues we have, and then I can say, okay, I've got one electrician this week, I've got one plumbing guy, I've got one leak guy, and effectively then I can start to shepherd the resources where they need to go. In one sense, and you don't want to hear this, but this, I won't say who, but someone said something to me here, and it just clicked a light bulb in my head. This is not a kibbutz, this is not a commune, this is not a tenant, sort of union cooperative, this is not an assisted living facility, and there's certain things that is not our job to do. Replacing light bulbs, not my job. A light bulb that is a fixture, of course.
Yes,
Is it a quality of life issue?
In my living room, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about like the things that they would do, that they install, that they would fix.
Okay,
But now I don't know.
I can't, so look, what I would say is that the system is that everything goes to Treasure, that Treasure then comes up with the list. If there is a problem that you're having in your unit, it's a true emergency, you can go down, you can knock on the door of LLV. Paul lives in the building.
Thank you. I actually think I can talk loud enough. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
So first of all, I just want to say thank you so very much. This is really
I'm happy to take whatever positive feedback I can. You know what, can I just ask one simple question? On balance, while you might have complaints, how many people are happier with the building today than 6 months ago? Can I see a show of hands?
But 50-50. Yes.
We missed
yes.
the doorman.
And let me just say, first of all, again, thank you. And as people have said, thank you for the many, many improvements that have happened very quickly in 5 months. I just want to co-sign, and I'm sorry, even though I've lived here 21 years, I don't know everybody. I don't know Stu. I don't know everybody's name. So you don't have to tell me everybody knows Stu. That's number one. Stu, and for those who don't know me, I'm Baraka. As I said, I've lived here like many of you, many, many years. And so I'm very happy with some of the improvements that have happened. Yes, that's absolutely true. I also want to say I don't believe in just bashing the previous administration or what you call it. There were a lot of positive things happen. Some of them have been mentioned. Like we said, if we needed the light bulb changed, the leak fixed, that usually happened within 24 hours. I hope you will understand that we're just now hearing 5 months, and we're just now hearing from you how the system works, how you've been working. And I think that's been part of the problem, Mark, is that we didn't know. Sometimes people were sending emails, and not getting a response.
Exactly.
So we didn't know you were taking care of this. If you're not here every day, I travel for work. And so if we're not hearing every day what's happening and there's no consistent communication, I think the communication has gotten better over the last 5 months, but we're just now hearing why the light isn't fixed or the leak doesn't fix. So it's important, whether it's a tenant meeting, whether it's rapid response to the emails that sends, look, we can't get to you today. That would even be helpful. It may be a week, it may be 2 weeks, at least that gives us some idea of when the management can figure out how to manage all these different needs and priorities. That's all.
Thank you for your feedback. I hear you loud and clear. I will keep that in mind, and we will strive to create a better system.
This is just 2 things. One, sorry.
It would be great if we did get an acknowledgement. I mean, even if you can't tell us when it's going to be fixed, just to know that you know that you want something fixed would help a lot. The other thing is, I had a minor thing in my apartment and it wasn't getting fixed. And I finally found out that Treasure was under the impression that the person couldn't come into the apartment when I wasn't there. So they had missed me several times. So when we send an email, would it be helpful for us to say it's okay to access the apartment when I'm not there? Or is there a problem with that?
There's no problem with that at all. That sounds like an excellent idea.
That's great. Actually, I suggested that because I had some work done. My air conditioning unit, the motor was out. They came and replaced it. I said, "You got my permission to be here?" And they said, "Actually, we're not allowed because the building manager has to be present," which is a great segue into the next question. What about regular office hours for management? There's actually someone in the office, 9 to 5. The door is not closed. It's open, which says, "Come on in." And especially if the workmen are being told they can't enter our apartments unless the building manager is present. It's like a vicious cycle. So how can we solve that?
Okay. We are not prepared to commit to having regular office hours Monday through Friday with the management office. It's mostly staffed. It may not be 5 days a week. It happens to have been 5 days a week because when you buy a building at first, you need to be on site. What I can say is that, again, There will be certain things that you are happy with Rockledge. There are certain things that you will feel like is outside of what you're used to and you're not happy with. But on that particular point, if there is an access issue for liability reasons, we don't just send people in. If you are okay having people come in, that's great. If we need someone there, we've got people all over the building. We'll make the time. Treasurer's on maternity leave. I know that you and I had exchanged some words. Mostly you exchanged the words, and I listened to your words exchanged a few months ago, expressing your displeasure that we didn't work on Sundays. We don't work on Sundays. I don't want my team to work on Sundays. We have families too. The city doesn't work on Sundays. Sorry, the health department ain't open on Sundays, and so what would help us is if you could try to adjust a little bit of your schedule. If you're putting out garbage, knowing that we don't work on Sundays, so it isn't sitting in the compactor room, either put it like late Sunday night or wait till Monday, or put it Friday night because I have a guy here on Saturday. So there's certain things like that that are just peculiar to Rockledge. But what I would say is that, you know, many buildings that I know, owned by big national companies, they don't have a staff management office. They don't. It takes them a long time to get back. I know a lot of buildings that are owned by people with PO boxes in Brooklyn, and if you try to call them, you don't even know. Forget who your super is. You don't even know who your landlord is. So again, there are certain things that we're going to do because from an economic perspective, this is how I run my business. But again, I hope that you'll see all the other things we've done and take some pleasure in the fact that there's a lot of pride that I feel in making it a better community.
Once again, thank you, Mark, for being as transparent as you've been tonight. And let's hope that's a building block to reset the relationship between you and the tenants. But the one thing that would really help, which people have mentioned, is better communication. Not just, it's come to our attention that the power went out at 2 o'clock in the morning. How about we've heard that the power, or they're not waiting for us to tell them, they're telling us what's going on. And that changes the dynamic of the conversation because it would just make it better. And also the tone. The tone is very, not offensive, but intimidating. Abrasive. Can we make it more conversational? Because we're all people. And everyone gets their backup when you get that tough language. Communication, not only, and I know you mentioned you really can't devote the time yourself to updates. However, when there's going to be that thing in the front, the crane, just to notice the people, FYI, there's going to be a crane in the front that's going to be cleaning the building. You won't be able to use the ramp for X number of hours. Or we're trimming the trees. You mentioned the parking spots. I mean, that stuff is all well communicated, but once again, it's communicated in a very non-friendly style. So we're a community that exists on friendship. If your communication matches that, we'll be happy campers. It's really, at the end of the day, and correct me if I'm wrong, everybody, about communication and how we are connected with you. How we connect with management about issues, that's something that's evolving. But at the end of the day, I think we'd all feel better if we all in it together, because we are. So as a new owner, and once again, we applaud all the positive cosmetic changes you're making. We're looking at more systematic things that, once again, may not be in your plan, but when you have 133 units where a lot of people have been here for many years, it's hard to change without understanding why these changes are put into place. And you're under no obligation to explain it to us, except common courtesy dictates that happens. I think all the anger and frustration and a lot of other things that people have will be diffused if you share with us what you're going through, because we're all in it together.
And if I could add this one last comment, Mark.
Go ahead.
Just this is really quick. I mentioned in an email to Treasurer and Karen, and asked them to pass it on to you, that many of us have come here, at least for me, through recommendations. I was recommended to come here through a personal and professional relationship, someone I worked with. You said you have units empty. If we all feel like good about, as Stu is saying, the communication, how we're talked to, we're then happy to try to help you fill those vacancies and say, look, professional friend, I live in this great building, it has great management, it's in a great area, you should come and move and live here too. So you should see us as allies and ambassadors for this building, but some of these issues would have to be addressed for us to feel comfortable doing.
Got it. I appreciate your thoughts, and you know, when you're running any organization, right? I've got 27 people who work for me. I'm a good salesman, or at least sometimes I'm a good salesperson. I'm certainly transparent and I'm very open and honest about it.
Can't hear you.
Sometimes the people who work for me need to be coached a little bit on better, maybe more friendly, as you describe it, communication. Because when I say we're working on, you know, the backyard and the lighting and the tree removal and the pointing. By the way, I won't name any names, but send an email to the Hawthorne tenants telling them either that they can't park in certain spaces or that the lift is going to be in front. I don't write that email. I'm doing 10 different things, and when I'm doing 10 of them here, and then I've got issues in another city that I'm dealing with. And so I will impress upon my team the importance of good old-fashioned, non-threatening, non-arrogant communication. And I appreciate the fact that you all are here right now. You had other things to do on a Monday night. I mean, there's nothing I said that, you know, that's going to be terribly inspirational, but it means that every single one of you care about your building. That's good for me. That's not bad for me. That's a good thing. I want people to care about where they live. I will fall short of your expectations some of the time. I will listen to your complaints. When I knocked on Stu's door, I figured, oh boy, I'm going to get a freaking earful now. And we sat down and we realized that there were some elements of commonality. How do we figure out for me to give a nod to the community that is Hawthorne? Well, let's have a community grill. Let's keep Annie's garden. Let's have a barbecue. Let's have a meeting so everyone can just pepper me with questions. So, you know, we're all learning together. I'm not perfect. I'm getting better. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying not to get worse. And I think that overall, things are moving in the right direction. But I hear what you're saying about communication. We're not trying to bark emails at people. We're doing 10 different things at once. And you have to understand it, if you could, just for 1 minute, my perspective. I'm the new guy. I live in West Orange, where I've lived for 18 years. And so I'm 5 minutes away. I'm always here. I've never seen an owner. I don't know of an owner who always is here at the property, sitting in. By the way, I do it for a reason. I sit in the lobby sometimes because I just want to see. People have questions, or I just want to see the flow of things. Come on over, ask me a question. But I don't. But that's not normal. I know that your normal was also maybe not normal, but my normal is that I'm coming in here and I'm trying to make things better. I'm doing package room in the building department, and then I'm trying to do a new sidewalk, and then they're like, well, where are your permits? I mean, I said to the city, well, I need permits for sidewalk, and the city said, yeah, you need permits because it's our sidewalk. I'm like, well, why don't you fix it then? So, there are a lot of things that we're doing that I think are important, and a lot of what we're doing, I just want to do because I want the building to look better. But I'm not perfect. Communication can be better. We'll try to soften it a little bit. And again, I'm here because I want to do an outreach. I want all of you to know that I do care. I may not always translate that into the way that you want. I may fall short of whatever Pakenham did with the building before, but we are doing our best, and we think that things are getting better.
Thank you for that. I know that this lady's been waiting to ask questions, so let me just get back here with the microphone.
Hi. So, I mean,
What's your name? Just so-
Abby. I live with my mother in apartment 1M, and it was just like when you guys were power washing the building, I have severe asthma, and it was going straight through the windows while they were closed, and we didn't get any notification or email. Luckily, we caught Treasure that day in the office, and she said that they were power washing the building, but just like I had to call somebody and no notifications pre to that day or anything, and then unfortunately my mom did get a little sick because of the chemicals that were being poured onto the building, but just for a little bit more communication would, you know, just go a long way for me personally and my mother.
And just to add to that about the smell of the chemicals, I know a lot of people have complained about the cleaning fluids that are being used to clean the rugs weekly, which we appreciate the cleaning, but there's enormous people who can't handle the smell. They have allergy reactions or it makes them sick. So is there a solution to that?
The rugs have never been so clean.
Open the window.
Grateful for the rug cleaning.
Use your air conditioning.
So on the point of you and your mom, my perspective is I set up True Clean to come. They charged me $10,000, which was about $7,000 more than I thought it was going to cost. Then at the end of it, I was a little sad. I was basically sad because I lit 10 grand on fire. I lit 10 grand on fire because the building looked, to my eye, looked just as dirty as it did before, and I wouldn't have done it. Except then I realized that the bricks that I thought were white bricks are actually white paint over red bricks. And so when they used the power washer to get off all the stains, they stripped some of the paint off the white bricks that now look dirty because it was red. So that made me sad, but I can assure you that I did send emails to my team saying, make sure to notice people on certain sections of the building to keep their windows closed, and my apologies if that wasn't done.
Well,
There was an email.
in fact,
There was an
we
email
got
about
the
that.
email after the fact. It's come to our understanding that the power wash showed up a week ahead of schedule. So if you're not home, if you're home, please close your windows. But if you're not home, you're basically screwed.
Actually, you know what? Sorry, that's absolutely right. Because True Clean was on the schedule for the following Tuesday,
Right.
and then they showed up with their lift, and then they started doing their work, and I'm like, guys, you know, but now we've got money on the line, and they want to do their work. So yes, I think that could have been handled a lot better. The chemicals that True Clean is using is perfectly safe. I'm not saying that because if your mom has asthma that wouldn't aggravate that, but we're not using like toxic chemicals. They're state licensed. They're firm that is that's adhering to like safety standards. But it's still not okay if no one noticed you and water's coming in through your window. That's not at all. That's not at all what I wanted. After we power washed it, we then looked up and I saw like lines of grout that was like that had fallen out for years. So I figured at the very least, as long as the facade looks just as tired and old as it did before I spent 10 grand, at least let's do some brick pointing. And that's why we spent the next week up on the lift going through and adding all of that grout. But I hear you loud and clear. It sounds like, again, it comes back to better, more timely communication.
This gentleman has a question over here.
Hi, Mark. I have a question about how you go about replacing equipment like dishwashers and stoves. The lock on my dishwasher broke on the 24th of May. I've been without a dishwasher since the 24th of May. I put in a request. 2 weeks later, a guy came up and looked at it. He said, well, the lock broke out. I was told by Treasurer that
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you, Mark.
Well, we don't repair dishwashers. We're going to have to order you a new one. Okay, I said fine. 2 weeks later, the broiler door on my stove just fell, one end fell off. It wouldn't close, so I couldn't use the broiler door. I reported that, and again, Treasurer said, well, we don't repair stoves, either we'll replace them. All right, my question is this. How do you go about replacing equipment? How long does it, do you have to order it? And I assume that you have to order it and get it in, but why, since the 24th of May, have I not been able to get a dishwasher and the 17th of June? And look, by the way, I appreciate what you, all of your problems here. I've been in the real estate business myself for a number of years, much smaller stuff, you know, residential, 4, 6 families. I know what you're going through. But this thing about ordering replacement stoves, that seems to be kind of really out of kilter. How do you go about that?
So first, please send an email to management at Rockledge saying that you were at our talk tonight, and the treasurer. But hold on, I'll answer that in a second. But I just want you to send that again if you could, so that I can see, because I'm going to log into the account myself, and I want to see all of the deferred items that for whatever reason may not have been addressed. I can't speak to your particular issue with the dishwasher. I don't know. What I would say is that in general, we don't order new appliances when an appliance breaks. It's our responsibility to provide you with a dishwasher that works, with a fridge that works, with a stove that works. More often than not, we'll find a fridge.
What's the process? A dishwasher breaks, how long should it be before someone gets it fixed?
So it should be less than a week. I mean, we have dishwashers, we have stoves, we have fridges in the basement, and if it's taking longer than that, it shouldn't. So,
4 months.
right. Again, I can't speak to any particular case. It may be 4 months, it may not. There may be other issues related to this case, which I simply don't know. But if you send an email, say that you spoke with Mark, where is dishwasher, or whatever, and then that will flag for treasurer that'll be something that I'll follow up with. What's that?
So the email.
Yes. So she's not on maternity leave yet.
When is that?
She's been out today, dealing with some medical issue. I'm hoping.
When does she go on maternity leave?
I don't know for sure, but probably about a month and a half.
Yeah.
And replacement is
Karen is going to be the point person. But if you send everything to management at Rockledge, we will sort through if there's appliance issues. I can assure you we have plenty of extra dishwashers, plenty of stoves. So
what's a reasonable follow-up time?
I would say that if someone is having an issue with an appliance, a reasonable follow-up time, 1 week. Shouldn't be more than that.
And if they don't get responses, what do they do?
That's bad. If they don't get a response, then I want you to send another email to management, and I'm going to do a better. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have treasurer once a week print for me a list of all of the issues, whatever they are, in whatever category, so I can specifically look at it every Monday or every Friday and make sure that people aren't waiting longer than they have to. You certainly shouldn't have to wait 4 months for dishwasher. So if that's true, sorry about that.
Well, once again, I know that. I'll go to you in a minute. Thank you for that kind of response. This is what we were looking for in this meeting. A place to be heard and responses from you that can help problem solve, not just bitch and moan, but actually solve the problems that are existing. So let me give this to Nat, because she's probably going to contribute to the problem.
Okay, so I had a conversation personally with one of your HVAC people, one of the people that you sent to repair the broken units. And the information that I got from this gentleman, who was very nice, came in and told me that our unit and many of the units that they've seen are not repairable. So in other words, they only have one motor, they don't work effectively. He was the one that told me, and I told Mark, about the over 95 degrees that the chiller would not work adequately in the building, because the existing units in our apartments are not built for this time period. And he said that unless you replace the units themselves, that it's not a reparable problem. So the reason I'm bringing this up is, if you're planning on making people get rid of their air conditioning units, how then can we remedy this particular problem? Because this is a very big issue for many people here. Especially the elderly.
Okay, that is incorrect information. there have been plenty of heat waves over the last 62 years, and the air conditioning in the building works fine during that period. It's not like it was built for 80-degree weather and now it's 100-degree weather.
Talking to the mic.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Now we can.
I'll hold it a little bit closer. Did everyone hear her question?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that is incorrect information. 90% of the units that have been serviced are working just fine. And so if there are certain units that we're still having issues in, then let us know and we'll send our HVAC guys back. But no, we're not going to be replacing units. In some cases, they do need a new motor, a new fan, a new switch mechanism. Just a deep clean isn't going to do it. And we're not going to enforce the no air conditioning units until, of course, we have an apartment that is able to generate enough air conditioning from the unit that's there. So what I would say to everyone is, in the next 2 to 3 weeks, please let us know if there are units that aren't working as well as they should, that you feel aren't getting cold the way that they should, and we will, within Jeb's schedule, get people to your unit. We're committed to that.
Go. Back there. Yes, I'm sorry. Go. Do you need the mic?
Yeah. Going back to what this gentleman said over here, our dishwasher door and inside the drawers weren't working. I asked for a new one because it was broken, and well, at least we thought it was broken. So they said that they were going to give us a new one. Come to find out that it was a refurbished dishwasher, and that's just not up to my pleasing. I would want a new dishwasher, not a refurbished one. Luckily, we did find the problem in the dishwasher, so will we be getting if anything were to happen to a stove or a dishwasher, fridge, etc., will we be getting refurbished ones or actual new ones?
No, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
No, you would be getting a refurbished dishwasher. We're not under any obligation to buy all new appliances. Our intention is not to spend money on new appliances. We've got a lot of appliances that just need to be cleaned, and so our goal is to give you and our responsibility is to give you a dishwasher that works, a fridge that works, a stove that works, and the refurbished ones, if done correctly, are in very good shape. So that's what I'd say about that.
Can I just say something real quick?
It's now 10 after 8.
When I spoke to you, we spoke the
Hold
other
on.
day,
Wait.
and thankfully you stepped in and got my work done. So I came home from work, I think it was Friday, and the facade was done, and they left a white splotch of paint all the way across. And then the other day, was crackling, and then where the line of the leak was like wet. And then they came today and spackled and pulled away, just literally peeled the paint away. So I don't think that the problem, painting over it isn't the problem. I think they need to get to where is that leak coming from. And then on the air conditioning, it was all rusted and gross, and they painted over it, and in doing that, they painted over the panel to open it to turn it on. I can't open it. It's literally sealed shut. So, and then they had to come today. One of the kids came that works for you, and then they respackled. I had to move all my furniture again. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what I need you to help me, and I appreciate you that you fixed it from the get-go to get the guys in there.
From today, for the next 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, these units will always leak. Forever, ever. They will never stop leaking because it creates condensation.
Right.
They go into drip pans, and so there is I would be lying to you if I said that there will never be an issue where water is dripping from the ceiling. The reason we have the access panels is to remove the access panel to get the drip pan from the unit above to empty that, or to see if there was something that was clogged in that line, And the only way to fix that would be to puncture a hole into the facade for all 531 HVAC units, not including the kitchen units, such that it will drip on the outside of the facade. The reality is that there were millions of buildings built just like this that still exist, where you still have to troubleshoot. So we kind of have to work with what we have. If I could do a different system, I would do a different system. It wouldn't be a closed loop.
I love that you came and helped it. You
Yeah.
put it in, but the thing is, they sealed with everything shut with paint.
Look,
I can't open it.
I got
anything.
upset with you that day, and then afterwards, and then when I came to you a couple days later, I did apologize because it did take a little too long for us to get in there. And sometimes this isn't a good excuse, but I may not know. I may have told 10 people,
Right.
go to 5F and go fix the problem, and then someone says it's fixed, but I'm not in there, so I don't know that.
But when I came home from work on Friday, they said everything was fixed, and I was like, okay, that's great. But then a day later, there were cracks here. I'm like,
I get
something
it, but
is not right.
I get it, and if it's still leaking, then that's an issue you have to deal with. But what happens with a lot of units is when you have a unit generating cold air, and then tenants open a window, it creates condensation. It overwhelms the drip pan in the HVAC unit.
And
then it goes to the unit below, and so there's certain things that we need your help with as well.
Right, and prior to you, I'm sorry to cut you off, but prior to you, twice a year, especially in the summer, there was always a sign from Pakenham. It was a standard sign. Humidity here, don't open the windows, blah, 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 blah. Like everyone knew, don't open your windows, it creates condensation. And I said to Treasurer, we've never had that since you guys came. It was a standard letter. Do you guys remember the letter?
Yes, it was.
Standard
Got it.
letter.
Yeah.
So-
Do we have any other general questions?
So just on specific apartment, I don't want to monopolize everyone's time, but we are committed to fixing all of these issues for sure.
And in the sense of community, since you're raising your hand, Brian, can we congratulate you on your recent marriage? Not yet? No? I thought I saw an email that you guys got married and you're moving out. My apologies. Never mind.
I'm in the doghouse now.
Okay, man, I fucked up. I'm sorry. But, you know, just another thing, we should be sharing good news with everybody, not just bad news.
I appreciate the thoughts.
Okay, go ahead.
Asking a woman she's pregnant, right?
Well, first of all, I don't know if people can hear me. Can you hear me? Yes and no. I'm sorry, I'm a librarian. It's just a problem I have. I talk really soft. I don't know how to talk any other way. I just wanted to say that the people who work for you in this building, and I've said this to you, work very hard. And I think they're very nice. And I've had nothing but good experiences with them. I think they're very helpful. And they work very hard. So I just wanted to say that Treasurer, Paul, Donovan, they've all been
Thank you very
terrific.
much. I'll let them know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I also wanted to say, I think a point we tend to forget is at this time of the year, all the air conditioning works. Once it hits 90, it just doesn't cool, especially on the 5th and 6th floor. And so I'm a little concerned about having to get rid of my portable air conditioner if that is the case, because Serge told me to buy one.
Sorry, Zach, can I take the mic?
No, I just wanted to say one more thing is, what does a tenant do if they and their neighbor stayed home for 3 scheduled visits with the exterminator and the exterminator did not show, and then when the exterminator did show, he said he would be back, but then he didn't come back, and they have done everything far above and beyond that they were supposed to do on their partnership end.
Okay. Still here? Yep. So first, on the air conditioning units, again, I'm not going to enforce removing air conditioning units until we've gotten the existing units working fine. So if you've got a portable unit, make sure to reach out to us, because there will come a point where, again, the lease prohibits it, you can see who has it, and that's, I don't want to pay for electric twice on that, but shouldn't be in discomfort. I don't want anyone to be in discomfort. And so if there's an issue with an existing unit, let us know. Over half of the HVAC units that we've had to fix were in bad shape, either just for simple reasons, like there was, again, like hair that had been on the filter for years and years and years, or furniture was right up against it. So if you've got furniture in front of the HVAC units, please, please, just move it back a little bit. On the extermination, again, I don't want to get into any particular cases today, but if there are sessions that have been scheduled, then I want to make sure that our people show up. And if they aren't showing up, I want to know about it. Okay, are there any other questions?
Go ahead.
I just got a quick question regarding the garage. Is there any plan to re-implement the door? As well as the light outside?
That's a great question.
It's very dark outside.
That's a great question. All right, so on that, we did a lot of work outside, as you saw, in the parking lot. And what would have been easier and cheaper would have been to shut the lot down for 7 to 10 days. We could have done everything, but I made the decision not to do that because that's a real pain in the ass. If you have to go to work, where are you going to park? Now we've got 100 cars that are all going to be up and down the street. It was a disaster, so I didn't want to do that. So the reason why it took longer is because, just let me say this and then I'll move to the garage, is because we wanted to phase it so that we would shut down quadrants of the lot as we were doing work on the lot and downstairs without having to inconvenience tenants. Simultaneous with that, if we were shutting down like 20% of this lot or 30% of this section, where are they going to go? So we left the garage door open so people could just go in there as like an overflow. Now we realized that there were clickers that Mary gave out to people who weren't renting, just a whole bunch of stuff. So what we had to do is we ordered all new clickers for the parking garage so that only people who are renting spaces in the garage get the clicker. And then it took like 3 weeks to get that. So we finally have that, and now Treasure's in the hospital. So within the next few days, part of the benefit of paying extra to have a secure underground parking space is to have a secure, closed underground parking space. And having a door that's open all the time runs counter to that. So we're almost there, and yes, we're absolutely going to be distributing new clickers and making sure that that door shuts. Now, on the lighting, this is my favorite. Of those 3 lights, they were all yellow, and those things have been there for years, and only one of them really worked. And then that thing finally died. And I'll tell you what happened. What happened was we did all the work we needed to. We're done underneath this deck. So the underground parking garage, structurally, great shape. All the work that we did, we've done. My contractors who needed to bring a lift up here didn't want to name Rockledge Ventures as an additional insured because it showed that there was still an outstanding violation for a structural issue underground. So I couldn't do the back lights or the trees till I had the permit closed out. So it took a little bit longer to get them up. I was so excited. And then I came out here, it was just like, oh my God, this looks like a freaking stadium. Like I could see a cockroach running on the other end. I mean, I was it's certainly a little aggressive, but the light doesn't spill out into the neighbors the way that would require me to change it, but we still may adjust the angle a little bit. So we finally got that light working, which now it's like freaking daytime out there, but there are still some of these lights that for some reason are not working. I figured how hard could it be to buy a 170 watt light bulb? It took me an hour and a half. I'm on Amazon. There's these Chinese companies and Mexican companies and these corn cob looking like light bulb things and with magnum bases, and I couldn't figure it out. So we finally got new light bulbs, and we put them in ones like that one light right to the right of the parking garage entrance has not worked in weeks. We put it in there, didn't work. Then I'm like, well, maybe the light bulb doesn't work. Then I swapped one with that fixture, and it still didn't work. So we're working through a circuit issue that is affecting some of these lights. But meanwhile, I have a lighting consultant who's coming to me with a plan to do all new LED lights, because I don't like how that garage looks. It just looks dark and dingy and crappy. So we're going to put all new lights there. We're going to do new lights in the stairwells. We're going to do new lights in the basement, and we're going to make sure that all of these heads are replaced with a new head. So I don't want to spend money to try to fix an existing head. We're going to make sure that all the ones here are fixed. So it's a great question. Within the next week, I'm praying that that garage door shuts again, and then I think we'll be off to the races.
Thank you.
I have one more big question to ask you, and that's regarding security. And let me just get to that here.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
It's like a very simple security. One day we woke up and there were no tables to sit at. Are we going to ever see tables again, or that's it?
That's not what I was asking today.
But I just wanted to throw that in there.
Okay.
I didn't hear that.
Are we gonna get tables
I
again?
am, yeah, so the question is, I threw away some tables. Where are they? The answer is they're thrown away. The ones that I got rid of were just weird mishmash of furniture, red chairs, rusty green chairs, crappy metal tables. I spent $2,000 on those 2 picnic tables, which are 8 feet, not 6 feet, so that we have a place to sit. There are, in my estimation, a pretty reasonable table per Hawthorne capita count now, and I kept moving that round table over here, and then it kept moving back again, and then I kept moving it over here, and it moved back again, and then finally, I think it was Annie who explained to me that the older folk don't like the picnic table. They like a chair you can actually sit in because it supports your back, and I've had back problems myself, so I was like, I get that, all right, fine. So again, I'm not going to lie to you. We have no more plans to buy any more tables. We've got a lot of tables in there. We've got picnic tables over there. And for the barbecue, if you want to bring chairs, that's great. By the way, I cannot have an alcohol-sanctioned event for the Hawthorne barbecue. But if you brought a red nondescript cup, I don't know what's in it, and I'm totally cool with that because I'll have my own cup.
Okay. Now, security, which obviously is a big issue here. And obviously you installed your butterfly system. The laundry room door has something preventing it from locking and allowing anyone in, since it bypasses the butterfly system.
Sorry, the laundry?
The laundry room door right there, down there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
As in the entrance to the building?
No, the one right there that you're looking at with the fencing?
Right, but it's open from the inside.
Yeah, well, so there's something on there that's
There's always a knot. There's like a tie.
a piece of rope or something,
Yeah, rope.
which bypasses the butterfly system, which is supposed to be about our security. Can that be taken care of? And also the entrance to the building on the gate side and over here, because we have no clue who can come in and out of there because they're bypassing the butterfly system.
Okay. First, laundry room. Feel free to take that knot, cut it off. I'm not sure why there's a knot on the outside door.
Been like that
It shouldn't be there.
The
So
guys
just,
use it. I'm sorry. The guys use it. Your guys use it to take the garbage in and out. It was easier for them to go up.
okay.
You know
I'll
what I
make
mean?
sure to send an email to my entire team that that laundry door at the end of the day needs to be shut and locked. The doors on either side you're talking about. Well, no system is foolproof, right? I mean, you could have the best intercom system in the world, but someone could prop it open, put a rock there, put a wedge there. So what I would say is that it's not just the butterfly system, it's also the fact that we have more cameras here than many small casinos. I see who's coming in, I see who's going out. All the cameras do work. They're there for your security. We're allowed to have them. They're really for your benefit, but in New Jersey, or really in any state, there's no assumption of privacy in a public space. So if we have cameras in there, Some of them have ears, some of them just have like night vision, some of them just have eyes, but they're all like on every single floor. So if someone's coming in and there's some event and it was a police matter, we would have the footage, we would give that to the Montclair Police Department, and we would then be able to have the actionable.
And just one add-on to that, is there any way you can identify, since you have so many construction workers coming in and out, that people don't know and they don't necessarily speak English, that identifies them as staff, so we know who they are?
Very good idea. Absolutely.
Yeah. Sure. So.